Writing great introductions. Writing introductions can be hard, especially if you're an anxious writer or if the stakes for an assignment seem very high. Adding to that pressure is that common belief that your introduction needs to grab the reader's attention. Talk about pressure. Start writing and make sure the first thing you write is amazing. What a burden to put on any writer. Let's get some perspective. Professional writers would agree that introductions matter. They would never sell anything if they couldn't get someone to care about their first paragraph. But professional writers would seldom put so much pressure on themselves about a first draft of anything. They would know that that first stab at a topic is just a first stab. They will definitely make changes if they don't cut it or move that paragraph entirely. Remember, that first draft is just about you making your clay. You know the technical term professionals use for a first draft? A crappy first draft. Act like a professional. Keep your expectations low. There are lots of ways to craft an introduction. When writing yours, think about, that's right, your reader. In most cases, you need to find a way to engage your reader. You can do that many ways. Read this introduction. This comes from an essay about the culture wars happening in American universities in the 1990s. It's basically about how the right and the left fought over what they thought college students should be learning. But let's face it, what's more interesting? Academic turf wars or serial killers? This introduction teases us with serial killers to get us involved in a totally different story. Now, there's no thesis here. In a long essay, you might get to your thesis in your second paragraph or at the end of an introductory section. You might use your first paragraph just to pull us in. That's a choice you have. Here's another way to use storytelling. Read this one. This time the story is personal. There's still no thesis. The thesis is implied, never explicitly stated. That's another choice you have. Tell a gripping story and then have an implicit thesis. But remember, your reader is different than Susan Straight's. As a college student, most of your readers, your professors, will probably want an explicit thesis that's easy to find. Unless you really want to challenge your reader, you should make their work easy for them by giving them what they expect and where they expect it. Look at this introduction. That's the whole introduction. It's also the thesis. In 2 short sentences, the reader knows exactly what he or she is going to learn in this essay. This writer purposely uses concision to grab your attention, but although it's very short, this introduction is also shocking. What kind of person claims that irresponsible behavior runs in her family? We want to find out, and that makes us keep reading. These last 2 examples are more traditional introductions. Like the other examples, they try and hook readers by saying something surprising or compelling. But they're also what we call funnel paragraphs. Funnel paragraphs start general and become increasingly specific until, at the end, they're focused on a very narrow idea, the thesis. Take a second to read this one. And now let's look at this one. This paragraph is another funnel paragraph. It starts with a very broad idea, childhood innocence. The author gets increasingly more specific. Go ahead, read the first few sentences. Okay, then she starts to talk about the realization that people can be evil. Keep reading. And finally, she states her thesis. My comprehension of the human race expanded to include a hero like Anne, but also to include the villains who killed her. When I read Anne Frank's diary, I lost my spiritual innocence. This is the most focused idea of all, and this will be the subject of her paper. And did you notice it had keywords, an assertion, and an explanation of why that assertion matters to her? Our thesis video talks about that. These are some, not all, the ways to start a paper. Writers make choices. Everything they write reflects a decision they've made. Even not making a decision is a decision. It's a decision to be lazy and amateurish. Here are some final thoughts for you to consider. Bottom line, don't put too much pressure on yourself when you're writing that first draft. Know that you can craft a compelling thesis and that you're going to use the revision process to make your writing sparkle. Good luck!